So for the grader project for step 4, I've completed step 3. Hopefully you'll be able to complete those on your own as well. But step 4 talks about the VLOOKUP function, and I want to go over what the VLOOKUP function is here. We're going to be using this table right here, and this data is vertically put into the spreadsheet. If this information was horizontally placed in the spreadsheet, where taxable rate was here and all the numbers were here, and tax rate was here and all the numbers were here, I would use something called an HLOOKUP. But because the information is placed in a vertical table and the columns are where the data is, we're going to use a vertical lookup or a VLOOKUP. So I'm going to go ahead and click in the I5 cell as indicated in step 4 of the Metropolitan Zoo gift shop assignment in your grader projects for chapter 2. Identify and calculate the federal withholding tax. Use the tax rates from the range D21 to E25. The VLOOKUP function returns the applicable tax rate, which you must then multiply by the taxable rate. So I need to find out how much money are they making, 1, and how much can I withhold, how much is being held back for them. So we're going to go ahead and go up to our formulas tab, and this is a lookup function. So VLOOKUP is at the lookup book under the formulas tab, and you get your function arguments box here as well. So what are we looking up here in I5? We're going to look at H5, which is how much money they've made, what's their taxable pay. Remember, they have 2 dependents, and for each dependent it's $50 deduction, so they only have $417 of taxable pay out of how much their money they've made. Just to go over this, if you were a little confused about this part, this, for example, if I work 10 hours and I make $10 an hour, that's $100. But let's say that I have taxes taken out, which we all do, I would get a net check of $75. Now let's say that of that net check, I should probably get a little bit more. Let's go back to the $100. I worked 10 hours for $10 an hour, which is $100. And let's say that I have 2 dependents, and each dependent is worth $10. So I would get $20 more on my paycheck, which means that only $80 of that 100 can be taxed, which means that I'm probably going to get $85 on my net paycheck instead of $75. So the higher number of dependents oh gosh, I don't know, on your W2, W4, I forget which one, but when you first sign up for your job and you say how many exemptions are you taking, the more exemptions you take, the higher your net pay will be. But then again, when tax time comes, the IRS will take the money that it didn't get because you didn't pay those taxes. So this individual here, Abram, has 2 dependents that are worth $50 each. So that those dependents, $100, that 2 times 50 here is not going to be taxed. So only $400 of this 500 can be taxed. And based on this money that they've made, we're going to now look at which tax bracket is this person in. And then that percentage for tax is what's going to be taken out of their paycheck. So we're looking at H5, which is the taxable pay. Excuse me. And then we're going to look in which table. We're going to look over here. We're going to look in cells D21 through E25. And we're going to absolutely reference that because we'd like that table to be for every one of these formulas when you autofill. And then what column are we looking at? Well, this specific part of the formula only looks at what we've selected in the table here. So here's the table we selected. There's 1 column, 2 columns. Well, we want to look in this column. So what the Excel is going to do, it's going to look at, they made $417.40. Where does that fall? It falls somewhere in between here. Well, they didn't make $450, but they made more than $300. So their taxable rate is probably going to be at 25%. So we want column 2 to be the one that gets input into cell I5. And then we're going to go ahead and click OK. Now, I also want to make sure that we have the actual amount in there. So this 0.25 is actually just 25%. And I want to multiply that 25%, that taxable rate here, by what is being taxed, so I can get that 25% put in here so I can figure out what their final payment is. I'm going to click in my formula bar up here, and I'm going to multiply that now by the same taxable rate. So I will get $104, which is 25% of $417. Let's go ahead and finish out J5. I'm going to go ahead and do step 5 for you. Step 5, calculate J5 FICA based on gross pay and the FICA rate in cell B23. So J5 here is equal to G5 multiplied by whatever their FICA rate is. Also, absolutely reference that, pressing tab over here, and their net pay is equal to their gross pay minus the taxes. And then that's how much this person is being paid, and I'm going to go ahead and auto-fill that down. And that is VLOOKUP, and I hope that made sense to you.